Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Your question answered in 30 seconds, or your next one's free. Got a phone call sponsored by Jinx T-shirts. You can get your own at go.tagjag.com/JINX. This is Chris.
Yo, Chris, what's going on?
Hey.
So, just a quick question. I'm going into college next year, and just trying to look for a new computer, like a laptop or something. And the HP Touch Smart laptop looks pretty sick, but I've been wanting to get a MacBook for the longest time, but I'm not sure how accurate those touch screens are. They're not like the iPad or that kind of thing.
So what are you asking?
No, I'm sorry. What would you recommend? I'm sorry.
Oh man, why you gotta ask me what I recommend? Why? Why?
Well,
Everyone asks me.
You know what I mean? I mean, you got the HP Touch Smart, all in one deal.
Yes, I do.
That'd be similar.
I've had that HP Touch Smart, and while it is functional, it is not as responsive as the interface on the iPad or the iPhone or the iPod Touch, largely because of the type of screen that was used. And the technology on not every touch screen was built alike. That's like assuming that every car is built alike, and we all kind of know that's slight exaggeration of the truth. Certainly, every car has a steering wheel. Most have four wheels, but beyond there, the differences are sometimes night and day. Same thing with touchscreen devices. Now, if you're asking me what I recommend you get what you want. And ultimately, there's going to be one killer feature for you. All right? Now, if from what I heard is you're down between a TouchSmart PC and
like the little laptop and a MacBook.
And a MacBook. Now, if touch is the killer feature for you and you need to have touch, well, the obvious answer is you'd go with the HP TouchSmart. Beyond that, it may boil down to price. It may boil down to support. And that's something to keep in mind. You're going to be, in school. Something happens. You want to make sure it's going to be fixed, right?
Yep.
And you want the confidence that it will be fixed. And you're going to be dealing with the company that you bought the computer from, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to find that level of support at most stores other than Apple. And not to say that Apple doesn't, outsource or need to ship things away. But, take a look at experiences across the board with traditional OEMs like Dell, Toshiba, HP, the lot, and compare that to the experiences with Apple as an OEM. A Mac, for all intents and purposes, is a PC. Apple is closer to HP than Apple is closer to Microsoft.
Okay.
Few people understand that. Apple controls the entire experience, and whereas some people get really, kind of up in arms about that, they don't want that. There's a great degree of simplicity about a company controlling the entire experience when something goes wrong.
All right, yeah, I understand that.
We just had a phone call with someone, Bowler Forever as he's known in the community, and he's had a series of problems with his Mac. Series of problems, largely related to the power supply, and he had an issue where the frame of his MacBook was curling up. But did you hear that call?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, how he was having, it burnt him and it melted and all that good stuff.
He had some issues. Apple took care of him. He bought into Apple Care, and that plan has taken care of him. More importantly, the question that he had for me was, should he upgrade that current Mac or should he get a newer one? So his question wasn't, should I abandon the platform altogether? that doesn't speak so much to the computer itself, which he's obviously having problems with, as much as it speaks to the value of support. And that is what most people forget when they're at the store. They look at the price tag and they say, oh, it's a great price, I'll just go this route, I can save $100. You're going to save $100, but how much are you going to spend over time? More importantly, how much is it going to be worth to you should you ever run into a situation where you're going to have a problem with that system? You're going to be transporting that system around from point A to point B. It's going to see a lot of movement, and the chances of there being damage are pretty great. With any system that's in motion, heck, you're going to have problems with desktop systems that don't see a lot of motion. Different types of problems typically. So service is as important as hardware. Yeah, you could buy for the same price probably something that's maybe a little faster, maybe got a bit more capacity, maybe has a little more of this, maybe has a little more of that, but don't ignore support. Don't ignore it. Please, 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 for the love of God, do not ignore support. I'm not even talking about operating systems, okay? I'm not even talking about where you're going to buy something. Support is as much of a factor in a purchasing decision, or should be, as the raw hardware specs, which, let's face it, 99% of the galaxy just doesn't give a rip about. That should be your deciding factor. That, if there is a plan, because they'll try to sell you a bill of goods. Anywhere you buy something, do your research. How well is a product supported? Gotta answer that question before you buy. Because if you buy this system through this company that deals with that company that has this company's parts, no one knows who to blame. You're dealing with you don't care. You don't care if it's this vendor's fault or that vendor's fault. You only care that your problem's fixed. Period. End of story. And 9 times out of 10, the one you're going to blame is the one that's got the logo sitting on front of the product. 9 times out of 10. It's the way consumers work. So support becomes a factor. Look at independent tests.
So yeah, that really helps actually.
And as I said, I prefaced it. Find that killer feature, and sometimes that killer feature may be a fingerprint reader, or touch capabilities, or big screen, whatever that happens to be. But looking at price can bite you in the ass. I've seen it happen again and again and again. In fact, I don't know if you've seen these scams. There are certain companies out there that will charge you to remove default software from a computer. Now, you're probably a geek like me. It's not a big deal. But have you heard about this? There are companies that you'd buy computers from and say, well, we'll charge you an extra $100 and remove all the junk from the computer that you're buying off the shelf. What? That, to me, that's about as asinine as a car a vendor, a used car lot, or a car dealership charging you to reprogram the radio. But we're geeks. But you'd be thinking to yourself, well, why was the radio programmed in the first place? Why are you charging me for something? Because it's all based on fear. Well, you don't want the software on there because it slows the computer down. Well, if it slows the computer down, why is it there in the first place?
Exactly. Most Windows machines are notorious for having that.
Well, but they'll sneak that in there. Be careful when you buy a service plan based on your knowledge of your use of the product and specifically how they're going to back up that plan. Are they going to back it up, or is your issue going to be the exception to the rule? But do your research. You owe it to yourself. Whatever because see how I gave you the recommendation? Because I'm not going to give you one directly. And I almost got fired from a company that I worked for not giving a specific recommendation to a customer. Because you need to be informed, because you're going to have to deal with the problems, not me. I'll be responsible to tell you that the onus is on you to make something that you are going to be thrilled about when problems arise. They tell you the same thing about marriage, too. It's great to talk about getting together, but you got to think about what it's going to be like during the breakup.
All right.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. It's practical experience. Practical. These companies can make money on their service plans, and the chances of them actually servicing your product in-house by capable individuals, usually, do your research. That's all I'm going to say. That's my recommendation. Do your research.
Fair enough.